nearly 10,000 units have been lost.
We have got to regrow housing.
Our construction costs have gone up so much in the last year.
My first place in Arlington was an efficiency.
There's a sense of losing control of one's life.
It's natural to expect that there would be some kind of tension there.
40% of the teachers come here and quit after the first year.
It really does take a mosaic of resources to make any of these deals possible.
What many people need is that first step on the run.
Being here by myself, not too many friends besides my colleagues at work. Living in a place I have lived for about 10, 15 years, and then all of a sudden, move in the new state, and leaving your kids behind. It was very tough, I'm a code enforcement inspector, and we make sure that these properties are well kept. Yeah, it has to be cleared from the side, because right now you don't have any passage here. Sure. The sidewalk has to be cleared up. All right, so we don't have to come back for re-inspection. Sure, okay. Yeah. I've been in this country for the past 15 to 17 years or so, from Liberia. And I first settled in Connecticut, the state of Connecticut. I have two kids, a boy and a girl. My son, which is the oldest, Jonathan, and he's 8 years old. And my daughter, Alexa, she's now 6 years old. She is still in Connecticut there with her mom. And from there, I move on to here. This is the first state I have lived out of Connecticut. And this job brought me over here. And also I wanted to, to live much closer to work. I know very well that, I probably could have found somewhere in Maryland cheaper, but I chose to live in Arlington, so I didn't even look for anywhere other than Arlington.
Arlington has been very successful over the years in its economic growth. One of the unintended consequences of that economic success and the job growth in the area is the demand for housing.
Affordable housing is, unfortunately, impacted by the level of our success in development. The more viable and the more vital that Arlington appears to be, the more pressure there is to redevelop it, and for that to be the highest and best use of land, which leads to really high prices.
And that pressure has brought about a cost of land that is far outstripped anything that we've ever worked with.
Our construction costs have gone up so much in the last year. They've gone up in some instances 25% and in some almost 35%, and we're still not seeing the end of it.
These guys that you're seeing around this site, they don't live here. And they probably don't even live in Herndon. Some of them live way out. And we're talking about not just the common laborers, we're talking about the skilled craftsmen. They cannot afford to live in close.
Since the year 2000, nearly 10,000 units have been lost. The projected job growth over the next 10 years may lead to as many as 200,000 additional units being needed. In order to do that, we have to really be working with the development community here in Arlington, as well as our nonprofit and for-profit housing sponsors.
APA's mission is to provide safe, decent, and affordable housing for as many residents of Arlington as possible. Everything that APA has done to date has been rental project. There are quite a few organizations in the county doing first-time home buyers. We felt it better not to dilute those organizations with us trying to do home ownership.
Arlington County and AHC have been partners in the affordable housing business for the last 30 years. One of the primary purposes of the relationship is to supply that extra seed money that is needed to keep this affordable. and that would be secondary financing so that we can keep the rents down at these developments, so they will remain affordable.
Do you get all the finish?
As Silverwood Associates, we are an affordable housing developer. And as Silverwood Homes, we build market rate for sale condominiums primarily. And I met with the Ken Augenbaugh from the county and asked them what they needed for housing. And they said they were looking for family units and rehabilitation, and the county had some financing that they gave us, which made the numbers work. Because without the county's Affordable Housing Investment Fund loan, we would not have been able to make it all work.
APA is like many organizations now trying to do business in just this hyper real estate environment that we're in.
We are unique. We are in with the San Franciscos, the LAs, and the pressure is to find a unit close to where you work. And that pressure has turned neighborhoods which were considered totally undesirable into prime areas for gentrification. And that's what we're standing in the middle of right here.
Washington, D.C. metro area has been classified as the hottest, best market to be in the United States. 10 years ago, we had very few national or international investors for the smaller projects in Arlington.
Because Washington is the most stable market in the country, creating jobs, the government and everything else, the likes of Summit Properties, Avalon Bay, Camden Properties, Archstone Smith. Institutional investors from around the country have said, well, a low 6 yield on their investment is better here than a 0 yield in Atlanta or Chicago or Denver that's overbuilt or whatever. So they came in and started to buy the older, more rundown property.
Every square inch of our very valuable land is under competitive bid at all times.
An apartment that you could pay $70,000 or $80,000 for, a developer who wants to tear down and build townhouses can pay $250,000 or $300,000 for in the metro corridor. That creates a huge gap in the financing capabilities to be able to buy and preserve a building as affordable. That is a huge problem that I don't know how we solve that problem.
The main key element which is missing is we have got to regrow housing. And to regrow the affordable housing stock, we have to regrow that in an area where there is no more raw land. So there has to be a new creativity.
I think we've made some really important strides, both in our work with site plan for-profit developers and also some of the creative tools and the financing mechanisms that we have available for our nonprofits. So I'm very pleased to see the degree to which Arlington has made affordable housing such a priority because it's so incredibly important. Can we improve? Absolutely.
As county housing director, I am charged with working with the county manager, the county board to implement their policies. The reason I asked you guys to come and talk to me about Monterey Sierra is, I'm trying to get a better understanding. About 5 years ago, the county really updated a lot of policies to focus on housing for elderly, disabled, and families with children.
Yes,
Sierra?
Yes, there are a total of 96 units at the Sierra condominium. The units are 1 bedroom, 1 bath, and 2 bedroom, 2 baths. 86 units were sold at market prices, and there were 10 units, 5 1 bedroom and 5 2 bedrooms, that were sold at prices that were affordable for households making approximately $40,000 a year. We sold 1 bedroom units at $135 and 2 bedroom units at $155. Of the 10 affordable units, 2 of the 2 bedroom units are handicapped accessible. The county has what's called the Housing Information Center. It's our real one-stop shop for information about home ownership, rental opportunities, and any other housing issues. That is staffed by bilingual staff, and they would be able to help someone about these opportunities and others.
The major tools the county has with which to create housing affordable for the workforce is dollars, but it's also density.
The closest jurisdiction to the district, to the federal government, to all these businesses, and I think even higher densities than you have today are what we're going to see in the future. Maybe not at this point in time, but at some time you will, because it makes sense. You've got great transportation, so if you build more density, it can help bring down the cost and help you put in more affordable units and balance the community.
I often hear from residents who are frustrated with some of the consequences of density and feel that we're building too much, and that the consequences in terms of how tall the buildings are, how dense they feel, the traffic implications and what have you, really do impact the way that they interact with their community.
Let's work on this density in places that are appropriate, in places where the master plan has called for high densities, and let's also look at other options rather than incorporating all the affordable housing units into condominium systems within the metro corridor.
Arlington has been blessed by a metro system. It's the only jurisdiction out here in Virginia that has a metro running right down through the middle of it. There is an obligation to build density around metro. There's no other place to do it.
There are places that are currently on the general land use plan for high-rise construction. They sit as idle yards with boarded-up houses waiting for a developer. They are on bus lines. Bus lines happen to be metro. To be in the subway corridor is a prestige, but most of Metro's system still revolves around the bus, and it's highly efficient and very affordable.
There are those who believe that preservation of our existing market stock, some of which is located in really beautiful historic neighborhoods and historic buildings, is a better way to maximize the efficiency of dollars.
There are existing condominiums. My understanding is a one-bedroom condominium here is at least $300,000. There's new single-family homes. There's a community grocery store. And then there's land with houses in various states of decline and rent or not rent. These are also lovely townhouses, stable communities, garden apartments. These are great places. But it's on a bus line, not on a subway, so it makes it perhaps less appetizing for developers right now. And I think it should be a primary goal to capture some of these and keep them at affordable rates as opposed to just let them be market-driven.
Arlington has a really unusual development pattern in that you have single-family homes located extremely closely to some of the highest development in the state. And it's natural to expect that there would be some kind of tension there, because we're talking about some really dramatic changes in density within just a few hundred feet of each other.
It is in the developer's interest to push the margins of the general land use plan, and it is in the citizens' interest to defend the border of their community from too much density and too much perceived greed.
I think that it's important for us to continue to look and make sure that whenever proposed development comes into Arlington, that we're looking to make sure that what we get back is of sufficient value, and that is understood, that you see what the benefits are before saying yes, before being able to support a project. Not every project is supportable in all cases. Not all density is the best possible density that we could get. So I think it is important that neighbors become more involved and really scrutinize projects to make sure that they understand the trade-offs and decide that on balance that those are worthwhile.
What can happen is through a rezoning and a request for a special exception site plan, that developer may be able to build 300 units where otherwise just by right they could only build 50. In those cases, we're creating a tremendous amount of value in the density increase. It's expected that a share of that value being created will come back to mitigate the impacts of the development. Better architecture, better sidewalk widths, contributions to utility undergrounding funds. But one of the main ways that they can help us is providing affordable housing.
I knew that there was a great need. I'd done for sale stuff in New York before to rich people, and it was fine, liked the building, but there's something that I liked about building but building for people that really need it. We have mostly working families. We have a fair amount of Hispanics and also Asian, a lot of Vietnamese, Korean. Just a huge mix. People working 2 jobs, sometimes working 3 jobs, just to make ends meet.
The only place I can afford to get right away was to an apartment. As a matter of fact, my first place in Arlington was an efficiency. It was an efficiency apartment. And later on, when I finally made up my mind that my son was going to come and live with me, then I had to get an apartment.
On the rental side, in the context of affordable housing, there are rent assistance programs like the federal Section 8 housing voucher program.
Where they would get a certificate from the county where they would only have to pay 30% of their income in rent on an apartment that they found within a certain rent category.
We also work with our development partners in building or having situations where they're able to acquire older garden apartment complexes, rehabilitate them, possibly adding on to them, because many of them are older and smaller in terms of unit size, and trying to create more of those multi-bedroom family size units that we need so badly. Strive very much for mixed income communities. We're not creating, a public housing enclave, but we're trying to work on economic integration where we can have people at a wide array of income levels living in the same community. We think it's a much healthier living environment for people.
We will have the Section 8 tenant who really needs a lot of help, needs the government to help him pay his rent with the Section 8 certificate. We will have someone who, with their salary, can afford the affordable rent. And then we will slowly work up that scale to the market rate and have a full diversity in terms of the economics that occur here.
I think economics now shows us that to have a vibrant and a sustainable community, you need to have housing at many different levels. I think most of the teachers and firemen and police officers come in and they're right at almost a 60% of area median income level, which would qualify them for the county's affordable housing criteria.
I sat down with the people from Arlington Hospital and to talk about affordable housing. And I walked in talking about what you need for your custodians, the cafeteria workers, etc. And they were sitting at the other end of the table and they said, Walter, there's another group too. We can't get technicians, we can't get nurses. These people cannot find places that they can afford. We need both ends of the spectrum, and we need them near the hospital because we are a hospital that has demands on people's times 24 hours a day.
Like 40% of the teachers come here and quit after the first year because they can make almost the same money and move to like Loudoun County or Fairfax County where the housing is less expensive. And so the county could actually save money because every time you have to train someone new and go through human resources, it costs a lot of money. So I think you could say, we'll pay you this much money and you can rent an apartment right here for your first year or 2 years.
I think everybody requires affordable housing. Relative to your income level, what's affordable? Basic service industry individuals, your school teachers, firefighters, police officers, to mention a few, but also, the rest of the county government workforce is in need of affordable housing. Many of the major employers here in the county are also in great need of affordable housing for their workforce. Otherwise, they have to pay a much higher wage.
Although housing is not their reason for being, they do now understand that the lack of affordable housing options makes it very difficult for them to recruit and retain the best people. So we're entering into those partnerships where we're actually asking the employers to put some money in towards affordability as well, to make these deals work, whether it be an affordable unit project like here, or whether we're helping people in the marketplace buy properties, or if we're helping our employees to buy properties.
This This is where I first lived when I first came to Arlington. Yeah. It wasn't bad. It's a very quiet area. The only inconvenience was that it's one bedroom, and having to live with my son here, in a one bedroom apartment. Well, it's much convenient for me living in Arlington because being a single parent from work, I want to make sure that I can pick him up from school on time. Social studies and what?
And math and language.
Have you studied at all?
No?
Have you studied homework?
I was going to, but you were coming.
Oh, okay. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna have to finish your home, okay?
We didn't have much space. It was pretty small. We had to sleep in the same bedroom.
You had to start from fresh, start making new friends, new school, new state. Everything was kind of new to him. The only thing wasn't new to him was me because he had known me for a while, So it was very tough on him and on me too,
Yeah, it was kind of difficult for me because I didn't want to go. I wanted to stay.
He needed his own room, so then I couldn't just live with him in one bedroom. The county has an affordable housing program, which of course you have to apply for.
With home ownership, there is a notification list that the county maintains in conjunction with a nonprofit organization, AHC Inc., who processes the loans.
We would actually help them find an affordable unit, and then we would begin the process where we actually act as a mortgage company.
And they have gotten on that list by first going to a first-time homebuyers class sponsored by the Virginia Housing Development Authority, and secondly, being pre-qualified by a lender.
But we would take Arlington County money and give them a second trust that makes the unit affordable to them.
One has to have all those steps basically taken care of in advance if they're to stand a chance at competing in this marketplace.
Then the eligible people go into the pool. We pull names basically out of a hat, and then we notify those lucky recipients.
So all you do is you apply and cross your fingers to see if your name comes up. Do you have anything there for you? My name was picked through the lottery system. Oh, it's very exciting, being a first-time homeowner and living in this kind of a very nice and quiet area. Why don't you put the Game Boy away and eat?
I'll pause it.
Okay. My new residence is a townhouse, and this area is called the Brompton of Cherrydale.
This house is better because I have my own bedroom. I have my own bathroom. I have my own chest of drawers, and I have three trophies. I have 3 trophies. We have to score.
Oh, okay.
And when you take someone who had the dream of home ownership and had no idea how to make it a reality, when you can put them in touch with those resources and hopefully obviously get them into a property like that, it really makes your day.
We are going to learn about ourselves. It's only the beginning,
What many people need is that first step on the rung. It's a ladder. Everybody's trying to, as time goes by, move up. But the hardest step is the first step on the ladder.